We are with Representative Mike Chapman from the 24th District. 3 of your bills went over to the Senate unanimously, so congratulations on that.
Anytime you can pass a piece of legislation with unanimous support from your colleagues in the House, I think that says a lot. It shows that it's bipartisan support. It's probably good policy, but to have 3 bills pass off the House floor unanimously was very rewarding and gratifying.
Let's start with 1107. This one expands the non-resident vessel permits.
So 1107 is a bill simply which would expand the ability for vessels that are not licensed in Washington state to spend a significant amount of time in our waters during the summer months. It would help ports in ship repair and taking on supplies, and could really spur our economic and tourism economy in rural Washington in the small ports like I represent.
Let's switch gears. Let's talk about House Bill 1495. What does this do?
So that's a bill that passed last year unanimously off the House floor and virtually unanimously off the Senate, but because of COVID, the governor vetoed it. So it's a bill, when you buy a car, often a car dealer will offer a manufacturer's rebate, and the state has been taxing that rebate dollar as income for B&O purposes for car dealers. But in essence, it's just passed through money from the manufacturer through the dealer to the consumer. And so my bill would eliminate those dollars being subject to the B&O tax for the auto dealer. And some dealers had actually kind of backed off offering those incentives because they're like, we don't make any money on it, we're paying tax on it. So this will actually help the consumer end to receive every incentive they possibly can from manufacturers for auto sales.
Next, we have House Bill 1508.
The Dungeness crab fishery is a huge fishery in my district and on the coast of Washington. And sometimes crab is infected with domatic acid, which is part of an acid that's not healthy to eat. It stays in the middle part of the crab. And so my bill would set up a framework where the state Board of Health could create rules where when the crab fishery when crabs have domatic acid, that they could be eviscerated through the middle, and then in essence, the crab legs could still go to market. We've seen lately that where fisheries where crab have had to all been destroyed because of this domatic acid, but it does not impact the meat on the outer edges of the crab. So we're trying to save the crab that has already been caught that may have domatic acid in it and still allow some of it to go to market, so it's not a complete waste. It's really important for Native American fisheries and for the coastal fisheries and for the coastal economy.
Okay, well, once again, congratulations on the unanimous passage of these bills over to the Senate. And before we go, I would just like to ask you about work in your committee.
So the committee that I chair, the Rural Development, Agriculture, Natural Resource Committee, we're going to hear about 10 or 12 bills that came from the corresponding committee in the Senate, a committee also led by my senator that represents this district. And they're generally going to be some agency request pieces of legislation. One bill has to do with bulkhead replacements to make sure that when people replace bulkheads along the shoreline, we're not impacting salmon habitat. And then we're going to look at a couple of good bills for DNR to make sure that as they go out for harvest sales, that they go through the proper proper channels and get the best bids possible for their sales. And then another bill was going to allow DNR to, when they dispose of property, that they could just use a real estate agent instead of a public auction. They believe by using an agent that it will actually bring in more money to the trust beneficiary than the open cry auction at the county courthouse, where I've observed those over the years, and maybe 6 or 7 people are there. And sometimes the pieces of property that are sold literally go for pennies on the dollar. So they would like to be able to have authority to use a real estate agent. So just good bills, hopefully to maximize revenue to the state, clean up a couple of things and improve our local economy and make sure our salmon habitat is continually improved.